Okay, this is the shortened version of the prophetic, what I'm seeing in the prophetic realm for Australia, a double dissolution and a referendum on free speech happening very rapidly, as well as the removal of prime ministers from Australia, UK, France and Canada. This will happen in a very short period of time as the whole thing starts to basically fall down like a set of dominoes. So just listen to the short version of the video. The longer version, I'll put the link there as well. That's Graham Healy, Fit for Christ Ministries and Rise Up Australia, Brisbane. Okay, it's a pivotal point in Australia as of the 4th of August 2025. Okay, enjoy the video. Where are we prophetically in Australia? This is the main purpose of this video. Number one, Brian Tamaki came out from New Zealand to put a stake in the ground in Brisbane. He's down at the Gold Coast at the moment. He's going to the UK, and I believe he'll wind up going to the US, meeting up with Donald Trump and, doing a haka on the grounds of the White House. I believe I'll see that very, very shortly. So getting back to Australia, this is what's going to happen. Prophetically, mark it in your diary, guarantee it. Number one, Albo's gone. He's already been removed spiritually by the Lord. He's out. He's finished. I believe, and have said this for some time now, since the last election, that he'll be gone by October, November this year, 2025. Just to repeat that, Albanese will be gone by October, November this year, 2025. Now, what's going to happen to the government of Australia? Well, Albanese and his crew have gone down a far worse track than the Whitlam era. Remember when Whitlam was removed? But of course, we can't rely on the Governor General because she's woke as well. So something else is going to happen to remove Albo. It may be an external event. It may be, who knows? Haven't seen that yet. But what I have seen is that the government will be thrown into a double dissolution, October, November 2025 this year, and we will have a referendum on free speech. Now, I saw that about 6 months ago, actually. No, the last election, is that 6 months ago? Probably about May this year, right? So when Brian Tamaki came out here, his main pivot point was actually free speech. So free speech is so critical. So it's got to be installed into the Constitution. Now, who's going to be the future leader of Australia? Well, I had a conversation at this demonstration or this meeting, public meeting on Sunday. I had a talk to a mate of mine who's from Rodney Howard-Browne's church in Canada, prophetically very anointed. I won't mention his name here for security reasons. And what we saw was this. Well, he saw. I was thinking, who's the leader for Australia? Because Australia needs a Donald Trump, and I can't see him. I can't see anyone in the political arena that's the future pivotal Donald Trump for Australia. But Mark, I'll say his first name, Mark, said to me that he said he's not a politician. God's got his hand on a leader for Australia, but he's not a politician, but he's a man of great influence over politics. So one would think, I'm just assuming without preempting anything, that he may be a minister, he may be a businessman, he's definitely got to be a person of influence who will be raised up very shortly. He's hidden at the moment, but he will appear and start steering the whole government organisations back on track. So what's going to happen to the Albanese government, how they're going to be thrown into a double dissolution? Look, I don't know the legalities of all that. A lot of people think they do. A lot of people study politics and that. All I'm saying is what I'm seeing in the spirit. Albanese be gone by October, November this year, and there'll be a double dissolution called, and there will be a reformation, but regarding referendum. That's what I was trying to think of. I got all these words in my mind. So a referendum regarding free speech. So that's it. We're at a pivotal point. And each one, this is the other thing, each person or each prime minister who has stood against Israel, each prime minister, this is the real warning, each prime minister, including Albanese and all his sleazy crew, each person who's stood against Israel, each person who's been anti-Semitic, each person who's been woke, the whole woke agenda, and that's to destroy the society that's built through Judeo-Christian foundations, will be removed. They will be removed, and they're going to be removed rapidly. Keir Starmer, or whatever his name is in the US, I don't pay attention to him because they're just complete morons. So in the UK, Keir Starmer is going to be replaced by Nigel Farage. Boom, he's gone. He is good as gone. In France, that so-called prime minister, he's gone as well. And in Canada, the Prime Minister of Canada, or the one who's been put in as Prime Minister, there's a whole narrative behind that, and I won't call him a prime, but he is at the moment. He's as good as gone. So each one of these people who've stood up against Israel and want to recognise the terrorists, they're gone. They will be removed and replaced, and there'll be an alternative government formed. Now, Australia's a difficult one because we're supposedly the land of the great south land of the Holy Spirit, as it's been prophesied. So I've got no question that God's got his hand on this, and I believe that with Brian Tamaki was basically a pivotal point in itself. There was a stake in the ground there on last Sunday, I'll just repeat the date again, the 4th of August 2025, and Dylan Oakley, a mate of mine, Dylan Oakley, who's an evangelist, he gave an absolutely tremendous land-breaking speech, and God's hand is upon Dylan for a time such as this. And there was Brian Tamaki's son, Samuel Tamaki, and there was another guy, I can't remember his name, but he stood up against the anti-Israel protests in Sydney all on his own. He's an Anglican reverend. So that stake in the ground's there, and the pivotal point has been placed, and the Lord is not mucking around. He's removing those who are against him, and he's going to assert his godly authority, really. That's what I'm saying. That the church will start to rise up. This is what Brian Tamaki was pushing via the unction of the Holy Ghost. But the church is really the people, the Christians in the churches in Australia, there's a lot of them. And there's, rather than I'm all for, praise and worship and all that, but there's got to be where they take that from outside the four walls of the church into the street and stand up for Judeo-Christian rights, stand up for the rights of, free speech and all the rest of it, and stop this anti-Christian, anti-Jewish theme that's taken over Australia. And, it's time to stand up. And it's not only time for the ones that are out in the leading edge that stand up, but it's time for the majority of the church members to be activated and back up the movement that is actually re-establishing the Christian faith as our foundation for Australia and all these other countries, the UK, France, and Canada. And that will, in very quickly, that will realign with what Donald Trump's doing in the US. So at the moment, we've been, Albanese's made us almost an enemy of the US, which is just insane. So a lot of people want to remember back to World War II and all the other different conflicts around the world where basically, if Australia without the big brother US, we're stuffed as far as military capacity is concerned. So that relationship in a time such as this has got to be reinforced to the nth degree. We can't defend ourselves. There's no question. We've got Dad's army in charge at the moment. So that's Graham Healy over and out. I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight. So I'll just repeat what of the main thing of the video is simply this. We're at a pivotal point on the 4th, which is Monday, the 4th of August 2025, Albanese will be removed because of his stance against Israel, because of his stance, which is anti-Semitic really, and pro-Hamas. That's what it is. If you're pro-Palestine, you're pro-Hamas. You're pro all their proxies who govern those particular Arab states. Israel's the only state that's actually holding back the terrorists. So you see the crime that's increasing in Australia down in Melbourne, machetes, all this sort of. This is all Islamic stuff, right? It's not. It was never happened here in Australia before, right? So you've got to think about that. Then these other countries like the UK, Nigel Farage will be the Prime Minister there, and I don't know what's going to happen to France, but certainly the French Prime Minister's got to go, and the Canadian Prime Minister is just he's a proxy. He's been put in there by the so-called elites, the woke people in the background. He's got to go as well. So I think in the next 6 months we're going to see a lot of these little woke prime ministers fall, because their policies are actually making them fall anyhow, because they're anti-Christian, basically. They're all anti-Christian, and including Albanese, he's anti-Christian. There's no question about that. So God's moving his hand, and those people are going to be for or against Israel, and those who are for. I'll just leave it on this. Remember Jehu in the Bible. He cried out as he marched through these various towns, anointed by God to be the future king of Israel, and destroyed the evil at the time, which means Jezebel, right? Read about it in the Bible, look it up on AI. Basically, his statement is, and I want you to just think about this in your own mind, are you for me or against me? That was a cry of the Lord through Jehu. And that means, are you for Israel or are you against them? Now, if you're against them, I don't care who you are. If you're a politician, you're a big timer, you're a big businessman, or whatever you are. If you're against Israel, you're against God. You're cursed by God automatically, because the scriptures clearly state those who bless Israel will be blessed, those who curse Israel will be cursed. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't, mistakes made either side of the continuum, but I'm talking about the religious underpinning of these groups. So the religious underpinning of Israel is Jewish, and Jesus was a Jew. So you don't need to know any more than that. So you want to erode the very foundation that Australia was built on, the New Zealand was built on, the UK was built on, basically, Canada and these other countries originally were built on the Judeo-Christian belief, which gives them prosperity because they align themselves with the Ten Commandments, even, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, the philosophy of love your neighbor, and all that, and replace it with the, these other evil ideologies and cults, especially the terrorism death cults. You want to replace it with that. You're going to get the chaos that's happening in Australia at the moment. So that's Graham Healy over and out. Remember, are you for Israel or against Israel will determine where you're going in the future regarding political values as well. I give a forewarning now, and I have done that to several politicians, and I'm repeating it. If you're against Israel, your political career is over, because you're actually anti how Australia was built in its constitution. Everything was based on the Christian Bible, for goodness sake. Wake up to yourselves. Okay, that's my little announcement. I hope that helps some people. And, this information is all available on the internet for you to look up, but it just depends where someone's sitting spiritually as to what they actually see. So Graham Healy over and out from Rise Up Australia and Fit for Christ Ministries. We're at a pivotal point. In 6 months' time. A lot of things are going to change, and expect to see a double dissolution and a referendum on free speech coming up very, very shortly, within 6 months, I'd say. So we'll see if that bears fruit. And I've made a statement, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, Graham Healy over and out. Okay, just repeating that, just remember what I said. Within 6 months, Albanese will be removed, and even globally, these other woke prime ministers will be removed. We'll have a double dissolution in Australia and a referendum on free speech. And I made that statement about 6 months ago anyhow, but we've just reiterated it on Monday the 4th of August 2025. Put it in your diary. It's going to happen as sure as I'm standing here. Okay, Graham Healy over and out. Hope you enjoyed the video.